trucking industry around the world is massive. I mean, like, truly massive. If you go to the store and buy something, the chances are it went to that store on a truck. And those trucks, while great for carrying goods all over the world, are also responsible for an inordinate amount of air pollution. Most of those trucks are running big, powerful, not very efficient diesel engines, and they're just spewing tons of carbon dioxide into the air, not to mention all of that NOx. So there's a real challenge right now on a global scale. How do we decarbonize the transportation fleet? Not just personal vehicles and micromobility and public transit, but how do we decarbonize the delivery industry? The folks that bring you your Amazon package or your grocery order, or just make sure that your new shiny car gets to the dealership on time. The answer? Companies like Xos. There are many, many companies out there that are working to decarbonize the transit industry. Most of them have come from internal combustion engines before, but Xos is different. Xos started in 2016 with a singular goal of making the transport industry cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter. So today we're going to be chatting with Steve Iveson, who's Head of Program Management and Supply Chain at Xos. Steve, thanks for joining me today, and thanks for inviting us down to Xos. Now, Xos has been in the electric vehicle industry for a number of years, used to be known by a different name. Tell us a little bit about the history of the company.
Xos, we actually put our first production vehicle on the road in 2018. And as of today, we have hundreds of our step van product out browsing around the country here in the United States as well as Canada. And we're continuing to build out the rest of our portfolio with the HDXT behind you, as well as our MDXT product too.
Now, back in 2016, when this company was founded,
yes,
you were in a space that was pretty unique. There were a couple of companies doing what you do, but now there are many, many other companies coming on board, both traditional step van manufacturers from, I suppose, the heart of America. You've got the delivery van companies that have been around for like 50, 60, 70 years.
Yes.
And then you've got traditional OEMs that work with big rigs, like your Volvos, your Daimlers.
Yes.
They're coming into the electric vehicle market now. Where does a company like Xos have an edge to those traditional OEMs that have been both in the business for a lot longer, but also maybe have more resources than what Xos has?
Now that's the key question, and having come from some of those larger companies originally, I fully recognize the amount of resources and what they can do, but the advantage that we have as a startup is that we can do things much faster, and we can take a clean sheet approach. So we don't have to worry about any legacy products or any legacy design impacting our ability to electrify a chassis. And one other unique thing that Xos did is we chose the Class 5 through Class 8 short haul space. So some of the larger companies like Volvo, Daimler, they're really focused on the long haul Class 8 or the higher volumes in Class 4 or Class 3. So we felt that this was a nice segment where there aren't a lot of established, very high volume players, but more or less a lot of smaller companies, and also one of the most, let's say, ripest segment that will electrify the fastest.
We are in the outskirts of LA right now.
Yes.
And it took us about 50 minutes to travel the 20 miles or so from our hotel to here this morning to film with you guys. There's a lot of traffic on the roads of America, a lot of traffic on the world's roads.
Yes.
And at the moment, there are a lot of internal combustion engine vehicles just sitting there, creating a lot of pollution. We're hearing as temperatures get hotter, a lot of delivery drivers in internal combustion engine trucks, they're just struggling to deal with the heat. Their trucks are struggling to deal with the heat. What kind of impact can vehicles like your step van behind you have on delivery fleets, both in terms of total cost of ownership, driver stress, and also just day-to-day life?
It's really at the heart of what we do, which is decarbonizing fleets. It's becoming even more important now as you see Los Angeles in particular being so affected by diesel and gasoline engines, and now being even more progressive in phasing them out ultimately. But that's one of the reasons why we're here, is that it's an issue that touches the city of Los Angeles very deeply. And as such, we're all very motivated to make this happen.
How do you go about talking to fleet operators and owners today and showing them the benefits of going to electric?
What Xos has done and how we're solving is that you can't just offer a vehicle. You have to offer a full solution. And by that, I mean, you have to be able to help them find charging support and help them with that infrastructure. You also have to help them with regards to service and maintenance on these vehicles, which are much less, but it's unique. And it's something that once you provide that full package where you can provide the service, the maintenance, the vehicle, the charging infrastructure, that gives the fleet operator a sense of comfort that I have one person that I can talk to that's going to take care of all of this. And the most impactful thing that you mentioned was that, how do you convince a driver to use one of our electric products? What we do is we get them behind the wheel. Because once you drive one of these products, as you don't have the vibration from the engine, you don't have the heat from that engine, it's much quieter. It's just an overall better experience for the operator.
You've been making the Stepvan now for a number of years. You've got many, many customers around the US that are using these vehicles in their fleets on a daily basis. But earlier this year, you launched 2 new products in 2 new categories that you hadn't previously been in. This is the HD-XT, and then over there we've got the MD-XT.
Yes.
Tell me about these 2 vehicles and what you hope they will bring both to the fleet world, but also to Xos as a company.
Yeah, with our mission to decarbonize Class 5 through Class 8 short haul, we knew that we had to offer a product that specifically targeted the needs for Class 6, 7, and 8. So behind you with the HD-XT, this is unique from the Stepvan, and that is an e-axle product. So the drive unit is parallel with the axle. And the requirements that this vehicle has is much different. So the chassis is slightly different. This is our first product where we have our own body and cab on the chassis itself. And then for the MD-XT, that's serving the Class 6 and 7 areas where you have box trucks, utility haulers like what you see there. And again, the idea with that product as well being slightly different than the Stepvan is that that will also be an e-axle driven product and just have, let's say, typically more battery range available just because of the specific needs for those products.
Let's talk a little bit about the e-axle, because it's been a big breakthrough for the company.
Yeah, by having a simpler package, you have less parts involved, you have less cables, let's say high voltage cables going from the axle to the drive unit. In these cases too, you also have the inverter typically packaged as one unit, even structurally with the e-axle. So you're removing complex parts, you're saving weight in the process, and as such, just having a simpler product makes it inherently more reliable. And that's why you will see that technology is really just taking off in the Class 6 through 8 space, which again, we are doing with Allison, which we're super excited about our partnership with them.
Class 8 drayage is a huge proportion of the US transportation industry.
Yes.
Long haul trucking is still a problem that EVs and electric drivetrains still have to solve.
Yes.
We've got Tesla working on its long range Tesla Semi. We've got the Nikola Tre battery electric truck, although again, that is more really towards short haul and drayage than anything else. Both Volvo and Daimler are working on mid to long haul electric trucks, but the price tags for those are going to be astronomical. So it's going to really be a big fleet operator truck. Do you see this as being a truck that's more accessible to independent owner operators and smaller local haulage firms?
That's, let's say, our sweet spot for our business is to provide that attention to those independent operators like the FedEx Ground operators, for example, or Merchants Fleet. And what they're looking for, like you mentioned, is something that isn't as expensive, but still has the performance, has the range they need, has the ability to charge fast. These are all things that they require, and also to have the comfort with the quality and with the safety and maintenance that we can help them with.
The final question I want to ask you before we take out and have a spin is, financing any truck is a big challenge. There are massive finance companies out there whose sole job is to buy fleets of vehicles like this and then either lease or finance them out to owner-operators and small haulage firms. Is Xos working with any of those at this time to help facilitate the transition to electric?
Absolutely. Yeah. Right now we're working with some of the leading finance companies. So today, if you want to lease a step van product, even lease a charging solution, we can help an operator with that. So they don't have to be burdened with having a significant cash down payment or a cash outflow. That was a super important part of our business that we felt that we needed to have, again, to provide a full solution where a fleet operator can enjoy the total cost of ownership benefit that an electric vehicle has without seeing the pain of the initial sticker price.
So I finally got to have a ride in the Xos step van. It is great. Steve, thanks for driving me. My first reaction is that this is a lot quieter than a traditional delivery van. Normally, there'd be a massive engine underneath the center in between us. We would hear that, we'd hear the noise of the exhaust. We wouldn't be able to have a normal conversation, and you and I would have to shout to be heard.
Exactly. That's what I love about it, and you don't have the vibration of the engine as well. They can feel through the wheel or the seat.
So let's talk about some of the technical aspects of this truck. At the moment, you are getting gliders from Morgan Olson, right?
Yeah, what we actually do is we build up the entire chassis. So we have a rolling chassis that has the electric drive unit, the batteries, all the electronics, and then Morgan Olson puts the step van body on top of it.
Right, so you start off the process and then Morgan Olson finishes it.
Exactly.
What's the specs of your powertrain?
This unit has 120 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. So enough for roughly 100 to 120 miles.
Right. And that is enough to fully load this truck up and let it deliver things all day.
Correct. For the vast majority of our customers, like for instance FedEx Ground operators, this is plenty of battery capacity for their daily route. And we also notice that most customers, typically charge every night, but in a lot of cases our customers don't need to charge every night because there's enough battery capacity for several days of their commute.
The noises that we're hearing right now are primarily suspension and drivetrain. We've got that lovely whine from the regenerative braking system. A lot of people are not regenerative braking fans. I am, because it tells you that the truck is doing its job and it gives you an audible feedback to let you know how fast you're slowing down.
Exactly. I really prefer one pedal driving. I also have an electric passenger car vehicle that I use every day, so for me it's difficult driving a gas engine vehicle, or I just don't like it. But yeah, part of the noise you're hearing is regen, so it's putting energy back into the battery pack when we decelerate. Also, some of the noises that you'll hear in the background is this is a full step van body, so it has a lot of panels in the back, shelving, etc.
And of course right now it's empty, I presume.
Exactly.
So it's a bit more rattly than
so
it
it's
normally
not
would
weighted
be.
down, yeah,
Right.
to keep it quiet.
How many of these are on the roads of LA now?
Yeah, so we have several hundred across the United States and Canada right now. Most of them are within the Los Angeles or within the state of California, as this has always been just a leading market for adoption.
Of course, this design of vehicle, this step van, it's not just used for delivery vehicles. So in the future, are we going to see mobile vendors and food trucks built with Xos technology?
Absolutely. The key thing with the Xos technology is in the rolling chassis, which we can very easily modify for any type of vocational application or different classes of vehicles between Class 5 and Class 8 short haul. Currently, right now, we do have a couple customers within the uniform business, but we also are talking with potential customers about applications in the recreational space, as well as, for instance, a vehicle that serves as a mobile medical service.
Oh, wow.
You know, you don't have to have the engine running when you're needing power for computers or whatever devices you need for a medical, like a blood mobile. It can be quiet, comfortable, and you can park it anywhere. The parking brake is disengaged. That's the lever on the left underneath.
Right.
And then you just have to push drive with your foot on the pedal and we're good to go.
In terms of throttle response, this gets up and goes when it wants to, doesn't it? It really does.
It does. It has that electric vehicle instant torque. So it's just an overall, just better driving experience.
And the regenerative braking does make, you know, that single pedal driving possible, but it also means that, and it's pretty instantaneous as well, you've really mapped this for very quick sort of instantaneous around town use. So you've got that good response on the throttle, and then you've got that bottom end of the throttle is very responsive, but not to a point that it gives you wheel spin when you move away from the stoplights.
Exactly. And of course you have the benefit of, with one pedal driving, that the brakes will last much longer.
A lot of people will look at this and go, well, there's no doors. There are doors, they slide. But if you are in the delivery business and you're working in a city like LA, it's much easier to keep everything open so you can jump in and jump out.
Exactly.
But there's no nasty noises from the engine. I think that's the thing that really strikes me. You know, like any delivery vehicle, it's a bit bouncy. It's empty right now, and I want to just kind of emphasize that, because if you've got a couple of £1,000 worth of boxes in the back, this is going to feel much less like a roller coaster ride and much more like a very planted, secure vehicle. It's rear-wheel drive.
Yes.
Of course, normally a vehicle like this would be a rear-wheel drive internal combustion engine drivetrain with an automatic gearbox. Sometimes in Europe, even a manual gearbox. This is a lot less stress for the driver.
Exactly.
They're not having to continually worry about the engine overheating or having issues. And I think that really helps. I just cannot get over how well, look at that, how well you're able to tuck it into a corner without having to worry about clipping someone. It's very easy to feel where the wheels are. It's very easy to get some feedback as to what's going on. Now, this is power assisted.
Correct.
Just electronically power assisted?
It's a hydraulic assist, but that hydraulic motor is powered by our batteries.
You know, if you give it some beans, you can pick up to speed
That's
nicely,
right.
and you know, and it's pretty easy to gauge how fast you're going. A very clear display. It's not fancy, but it doesn't need to be fancy. It's very clear. It tells you exactly what's going on. But you know what?
That was our Mobileye system giving you a lane departure warning.
that is great. But you know what? I'm going to pull over here and let you finish it, because this is a very enjoyable ride. But I feel like if I drive it two more, we may end up in a bit of danger. So I'm going to let you take back over there, Steve.
Sounds good.
It's very easy to see what's going on with this truck because of the way that the chassis is laid out. You've got the wheel obviously very far forwards. You're over the front wheel almost as the driver, and that gives you a very direct feel to the wheels. Let's also talk about something that doesn't get discussed a lot in these vehicles, and that's the lack of air conditioning that you normally get in these step delivery vans. We've seen horror stories all summer of delivery drivers just overheating. This actually has air conditioning, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does. We have again, an air conditioning compressor that runs off of our high voltage battery, and we can use that to chill the cabin as well as all the power electronics for the drivetrain.
So you actually end up with much happier drivers who, if they wish, can close the doors and actually keep themselves cool.
Exactly.
On a hot summer day. Who are your big customers right now?
Yeah, our big customers right now are FedEx ground operators and Merchants Fleet, which provides to UPS. Loomis is actually one of our key customers, and those are armored vehicles.
So you probably have one of the few armored delivery vehicles in the business with an electric drivetrain.
We do, and it's a really neat looking vehicle, and it has larger batteries because the vehicle is obviously heavier with all the armor plating. But yeah, we have great customers. Our issue right now is that we need to make more.
That was great fun. So much better than an internal combustion engine delivery vehicle. And thanks to Steve for letting me have a go. I wasn't expecting that to happen, so excited Nikki is excited. Thanks for watching at home. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. And don't forget to leave your thoughts below or in our free to join Discord chat room. There are links in the video description. And if you really liked today's video, I most certainly did, why not leave us a super thanks? It's easy to do, and everything you do send our way goes towards us making more great content, funding trips, making sure we've got all of the equipment. It really helps. If you haven't already, make sure that you have subscribed to this channel and to our other channel, Transport Evolved Take 2, and give that bell a gentle ding to be told when our next video goes live. And of course, thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew go to everyone who makes this channel possible. That includes everyone who supports us on Patreon and YouTube, as well as those who watch and share the videos. If you are a supporter at the charged up level, you will see your name right here on my right hand side. And if you've just joined and your name isn't there, don't panic. We have been away on a road trip, so unfortunately those names are taking a while to render up. Thanks to our self-driving tier supporters, Chris Maxwell, Pedro Mo Pinheiro, Patrick Boyarski, Bennett Elder, Brian Newton, Dave Kitchen, Michael Goad, Ricky Leon, Andrew Martin, Guido Jahota, Brophy Wolf, Tasla in the Gong, Gordon C., Stephen O'Donoghue, Carl Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Regine Fellows, Dan Blair, Jim Burness, Chris Asentar, Chris and Michael Johnson, Peter Dillinger, and Denny Hyde, and of course, super out of this world thanks to our Starman level supporters, Anonymous Freak, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, Rory Litwin, Joe Bresney, Reedar, JP Fagerback, Russ, Will Graylin, Matthew Drobnak, Kevin Burrowbridge, John Lyons, Andrew Glenn, Paul Conway, Laura Reynolds, and of course, Ian. And thanks to the guys behind me, because you know, we all need fans. Want to be part of the amazing list? Well, you can join Patreon at the link below, hit the join button to support us on YouTube, or show us your support through Bitcoin, Ko-fi, or our cool swag store. And if you are unable to support us financially, just know that watching and sharing it really does make a big difference. We had a video recently that went viral just because of you guys. So thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.